tensions are worsening has surfaced. Just in the past weekend, the U.S. flew a B-2 bomber over the Pacific, and Defense Secretary James Mattis warned that the threat of a nuclear attack by North Korea has accelerated. With me now to discuss, Michael Pregent, a former intelligence advisor to General David Petraeus, currently a Hudson Institute fellow, along with Steve Bucci, a former U.S. Army Special Forces officer, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, and current Heritage Foundation visiting fellow. Let me start with you, Michael. The idea that nuclear ambitions or a potential nuclear attack from North Korea accelerating, I think, is a given by all. What has been somewhat of a mystery is what their capabilities are right now and what we should do in terms of preventing that going on the offensive, if you will. Right,
and I guess it starts with the Secretary's trip to the peninsula. It starts with those joint operations we're doing with South Korea, and it starts with looking at North Korean artillery positions, because that's really the deterrent to any U.S. military action, is what does North Korea do with its artillery to punish South Korea.
Steve, you know, the provocations from North Korea, we know Secretary Mattis saying they're unacceptable, the world saying they're unacceptable. They haven't taken a step back, however.
Well, this situation right now is we're trying to get the message across to Kim Jong-un that this is a different administration. It's not business as usual. And they're doing everything they can diplomatically and by moving military capabilities around to get that message through to him. He still thinks he's going to be able to cut a deal and then go back to business the way it always has been.
What deal do you think he wants to cut? You know, because you know, the other scuttlebutt out there is that he's got to save face within his own country. He's a third in a generation of lunatic leaders, if you will. But he's facing, obviously, it appears, more pressure than his father or grandfather. So he's got to save face in some sort of way. And giving up, would he give up his nuclear weapons under any circumstance?
I don't see him doing that, but, you know, maybe I'm being too pessimistic. Maybe some of the missile capability, something like that. But he's got to back off from this line, because I can tell you, Secretary Mattis and President Trump won't.
So the clock is ticking. We've got this major trip by President Trump, Michael. During the trip, you know, China obviously has been the linchpin in all of this. They're the main player. They can economically perhaps bring North Korea to their knees, but doing that is a dangerous proposition as well, because we don't know what a desperate North Korea looks like.
Right. I mean, all of these tests accelerated under the last year of the Obama administration. I would say that North Korea wants an Iran-like JCPOA, and they're hoping to get something where they get to keep their nuclear program, allow U.S. inspections, continue to do certain things, and then rely on the IAEA to verify whether or not they're complying.
And would they like it to fly over a pallet with about $150 billion as well, and an assortment of currencies?
I think he was banking on that, but again, this is a new administration. Like Mr. Bucci said, this is a new administration, and that's just not going to happen. And if it does happen, we'll obviously say it was a wrong decision.
Steve, we know it's a new administration. President Trump has done things differently than President Obama already in the Middle East with the Moab early on. He's used weapons. He's released our armed services you know, officers and commanders to do what they need to do to win on the battlefield, and we are winning big time. How do we convince North Korea without actually having to flex a muscle?
It really, in my opinion, depends on China. China's got to get more engaged than they have been. They have to understand it's in their interests to get North Korea to back off if they want to keep a communist regime on their border, not a capitalist one. They're going to have to do something, because we're running out of options.
Of course, there's a report over the weekend that South Korea now talking about bringing in tactical nuclear weapons that they would control. If that happens, China would probably have to face a nuclear-armed Japan as well. So having both of those nations, all three of them with nukes in their backyard,